Thanks for tuning into No Wine in No Time. I'm your host Dave, and today I'm going to introduce you to two black skin grapes, both with the root Nerello. The first one is Nerello Mascalese, and the second one is Nerello Cappuccio. Now you might notice a little bit of an Italian sound to these names, and you would be correct. The root Nerello means black, and that's where we get the black skin in the grape. And Mascalese and Cappuccio are the actual names of the grapes themselves. Now, being that they're native to Italy, let's talk about where they're native to. And that is the Italian islands of Sardinia and also Sicily. So these have been grown in those areas for millennia. So these are very ancient varietals. And one of the wines that they appear most commonly in is one called Etna Rosso. So let's think about what that type of wine is telling us. Etna stands for Mount Etna. Rosso means red. So when we think about an Etna Rosso, it's grown on the slopes of Europe's oldest active volcano, and that's Mount Etna. So not actually at the top where the lava comes out, but actually down on the slopes in the 1,500 to 2,500 foot elevation above sea level. And these grapes thrive in that area. And the secret to this is the volcanic soil. When I talk about Mount Etna being Europe's oldest active volcano, it has produced for centuries minerality into the soil, and those minerals appear in the form of copper, magnesium, also things like phosphorus, and a little bit of zinc. So we think about all those different elements in the soil. Those can actually come up through the grapevines themselves and appear in the grapes and how they present themselves. Now, I know a lot of you sit out there and you say, well, listen, minerality is just a myth. It isn't true. I've heard about minerals and I've never tasted minerals. And that could be true. The minerals are a little bit subjective, but the fact that there's so many in the soil, it's just natural that they start to dissolve with water and be fed up into the grapes themselves. So let's talk about those two grapes. So Nerello Cappuccio, let's talk about that first because it's considered to be the inferior of the two. So it's inferior because it's less complex. So we use Nerello Cappuccio in a blend because it adds a little bit of color and it also adds a little bit of alcohol. Now, how does it add alcohol? It adds alcohol because it has a higher sugar content at fermentation, so we can drive that sugar content dry and turn it into a higher alcohol content. But what I'd like to focus on is Nerello Mascalese, because that's the higher quality of those two grapes. And we look at Nerello Mascalese and the fact that it's a superior quality grape. It's used for blending, or we'll sometimes see it as a single or mono-varietal wine. It has a very strong fruity scent of red berries. It can be slightly floral with spicy and tobacco notes. And always in the background is a fairly pronounced licorice stripe. So because of that, that wine can be quite complex. So when we kind of fortify it with Nerello Cappuccio, we have a wine that's complex but yet a little bit more muscular in its persona. So I would think you're probably sitting back saying, Dave, let's taste the wine. Let's see what we can expect. So what I picked for you today is a wine that comes to us from the Carew family, and this is a Etna Rosso, so grown on the slopes of Mount Etna, and a blend of Nerello Mascalese and Nerello Cappuccio. So when we take a look at the wine, the first thing that we notice is it's a little bit lighter in color, slightly transparent, and a little bit, I would say, garnet around the edges with even a little bit almost of kind of an orange bricking around the edges as well. If we go ahead and swirl to liberate some of the aromas, the first thing that we see that leaps out of the glass is really that beautiful floral component. I do smell fresh cut flowers, but I also smell quite a bit of spice and a little bit of kind of like a tart cherry or berry in the background itself. Really kind of complex. So let's go ahead and taste the wine and see what we can expect. Very nice. So when this Etna Rosso passes by the palate, the first thing that reaches the front side of the palate is all those bright red berry flavors. We get everything from a tart cherry to cranberry to even a little bit of rhubarb at the front side. When it hits mid-palate, we get that mouth-watering acidity that this wine is common for. It's quite dry. On the back side, all of those minerals come through. I almost get a little bit of, almost like an iron stripe. I hate to say rusty nail, but almost like a little bit of a rusty nail on the back side, along with beautiful tannins and a lot of different spices, including what we had mentioned earlier, and that's licorice. Just a beautiful, beautiful, complex type of wine. So you might be wondering, what exactly would this pair well with? So when we think about Sicily and Sardinia, those are islands. This is one of the few red wines that actually would pair well with, say, an oily type of fish, because we have a lot of those in that area. Think sardines, think something made from sardines, a very strong flavored fish, something they may use in a pasta type of dish. But on a kind of a, let's say, traditional meal, think spaghetti with red sauce, a little bit of meatballs on the side. Think everything, every type of grilled meat, and probably a little bit more on the rustic side. Think lamb, goat, maybe even a little bit of venison. This would go perfect with that. So I'm going to get back and enjoy a little bit more of this Etna Rosso. That's all the time we have for today, and I ask that you come back next time, because soon you'll know wine in no time.